The latest attempt to repeal the Obama-era Healthcare Act has failed after a dramatic night in the U.S. Senate. At least 3 Republicans, John McCain, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, voted against the bill, which needed a simple majority to pass. President Donald Trump said the 3 had let the American people down. The so-called skinny repeal, which would have scaled back some of the more controversial provisions, is the 3rd failed attempt to repeal Obamacare. It would have resulted in 16 million people losing their health insurance by 2026, with insurance premiums increasing by 20%, according to the Congressional Budget Office, CBO. The vote was delayed after Senate Republicans kept a procedural vote open before the actual Obamacare vote, while they attempted to persuade their members to vote for the repeal. Vice President Mike Pence was seen talking to Mr. McCain for more than 20 minutes. But Mr. McCain then approached a group of Democrats who appeared happy to see him. The bill was eventually voted down by 51 votes to 49 in the Republican-dominated Senate. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican, described the result as a disappointing moment. Democrat Chuck Schumer said his party was relieved that millions of people would retain their health care. Just over 2 years after candidate Donald Trump mocked John McCain's Vietnam War record, noting that he prefers heroes who weren't captured, the Arizona senator stuck a dagger in President Trump's healthcare reform plans. There were gasps when Mr. McCain, after being furiously lobbied by Vice President Mike Pence, joined 2 other Republican senators in voting against the so-called skinny repeal plan, considered the bare minimum Senate Republicans could agree on. Instead of a big step toward becoming law, either in its skinny form or after further negotiations with the House of Representatives, the future of Obamacare repeal has been thrown into doubt. The reality is, for now, there is no minimum level of change on which Senate Republicans can agree. They either have to work with Democrats or resign themselves to stalemate and move on to other topics, like taxes or infrastructure spending. It will take some time for the scale of this late-night Senate drama to sink in. No one really expected Mr. McCain to be the decisive vote, but the man who once had a reputation as a Republican maverick, now facing a dire brain cancer diagnosis, had at least one more surprise in his pocket. The bill, officially known as the Healthcare Freedom Act, would have eliminated parts of Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, including the individual mandate requiring all Americans to have health insurance coverage or pay a fine, and the employer mandate, which requires the same of companies with 50 employees or more. It also would have temporarily repealed a tax on medical devices, deafened the U.S. women's group Planned Parenthood for a year, and provide more money to community health centers, as well as given states more flexibility in complying with Obamacare regulations. But the pared-down measure would have left much of Obamacare untouched, including the expansion of Medicaid, a government health program for the poor that faced deep cuts in earlier proposals. A requirement that all insurance plans cover essential health benefits, federal subsidies to help consumers pay for insurance as well as taxes on wealthy Americans also would have remained in place. The stripped-down bill came after earlier Senate defeats for proposals to replace Obamacare and then to partially repeal it. Senator McCain said he had voted against the skinny repeal because it did not amount to meaningful reform and would not have improved care for Americans.